Hello tutors, it's Gav. Welcome to another one of my videos. Today we're going to be taking a look at some French infantry from the War of the Spanish Succession, and these are Ebor miniatures. I remember them from a few years ago when they first brought out this range, and I really liked them. But because the War of the Spanish Succession is not always easy to find uniform details on, and I wanted to do some French as well, and the French are notoriously bad at finding uniform details for that period. I always pushed it away, but it's a period I really like. Now I've got 10mm armies for the war in Ireland, so King James and King William, and there was a small French unit there as well, but I haven't actually got those, but they're in 10mm, and I will add to those at some stage. But a good marrow of the channel, Scot, over at the Esmore channel, which I'll put a link to his channel in the description, he recently bought some of these and he said what a good price they were, and that's what swung it for me really. You know, under 20 quid for these days for metals, only 18 figures, so you know, you can say that's part of being under 20 quid, but for me they're just the right size units. Metals are so expensive these days to get ones of any size. You know, it can be costly for gamers. I will probably try and sell these, but I'm really on the cusp of getting another another collection going. 18 figures. You know, you can get some decent different units on, you know, as part of your collection, you know, of different uniform colours and stuff. So this is the first book I've got. I've got to say I love the period. I've got lots. I've got probably 3 books on the historical side of things, for the war in Ireland mainly, but also on the European continent. For the League of Augsburg, which is the early part of history, so we're looking about 1688, around that time, slightly before and obviously a bit after. These guys are for the latter period, but this is a book I got this second hand, so it's a bit beat up, and especially as it came from World of Books, and they only ever send books out in plastic bags, heat sealed plastic bags, which if the book was in decent condition, even though it's second hand, by the time it's gone through the postal system wrapped only in plastic, it's beat up by the time it gets to you. But you do get decent prices off them. I paid more for this than I normally would do. I think I paid about 15 quid for this, something like that. But it's okay inside. It's just got a crease along the top. But the Armies and Wars of the Sun King, as you can see, Louis XIV. It's easier to put them down as Armies of the Sun King, or Wars of the Sun King, because he was more or less at war the whole time, and League of Augsburg, and that was obviously part of the wars he was involved in. It was a coalition against him, but he just had his fingers in a lot of pies politically and on the warfare front, and it's easy just to put it all on. He was called the Sun King, so obviously that's why you'll hear it called the Wars of the Sun King, and it's just easier to put it all under him than it is putting all the separate you know, groupings together like League of Augsburg and that. So yeah, I won't open it up, copyright and stuff, but it's got colour plates in, and obviously maps and a full history, and this just covers the infantry side of it, but you can get engineers and cavalry and artillery as well. So I would advise that as a go-to book to have a look at. I got they obviously must sell flags of war stuff as well, and I've got colours for the De Lorraine regiment, which I'll be painting. So there's always a argument over what the grey French were at the period. It was undyed linen, or at least the rank and file were. Now I've seen some reenactors, I believe in the States, and they seem to have it just as how I'd expect it. So I'm not going to be painting this like sky grey, I'm going to be painting this like a warm grey, because it is just undyed linen, so I don't see why it would be some of the greys they often show in the colour prints and that. But these are beautiful. I don't know if you can notice the face at all. That should tell you it's a Paul Hicks sculpt. He really has got a style about him, Paul. I enjoy his work immensely. There's two, as it's only an 18 figure unit, there's just 2 grenadiers, which I will find one in a minute. Here's a grenadier, his second pouch there, compared to the Fusilier. So we've got flintlock muskets now, not matchlock, so they haven't got the taper burning away. The earlier figures I've got in 10mm are obviously for the earlier period where they're still using the pike and using mostly matchlocks. But I just love the deep cuffs on these. Most of the units from the different countries looked roughly the same, not in colours of uniform, but in style of mostly deep cuffs and some braiding and sleeveless like tunics and stuff. Tunic isn't the word I was after, but it escapes me at the moment. But again, it's hard to tell, you know, guys that don't do these type of figures, as in metal 28s and stuff, you know, you might say to yourself, well, you know what, I can't see a lot there. But believe me, when you handle a lot of figures, you know a decent figure when you see it. And I said to you guys before, that's why I like doing Paul Hicks's stuff, because you just enjoy painting them. If you don't enjoy it, I've got some Warlord Games stuff, some of their metals, and I ended up just chucking them in the drawer, cleaned them all off, and they had nothing to them whatsoever. And I just thought, I can't paint these. We've got I think he's our main officer of the unit, but again, brilliant. He's got his wig on. I just really enjoyed it. I've always enjoyed the period from the from the 1660s type of stuff, like Monmouth's rebellion, up to kicking King James out and getting King William, and I just really enjoy the period. Big wigs, lace, drummer here. Drums were slightly bigger, I believe, in them days as well. So that's really nicely done. De la Reine Regiment is grey. Again, some of the things I'm going to be painting mine more of a controversial, but more like a rock grey than the usual like sky greys and stuff that you often see them done as. I mean, the faces are brilliant. Again, obviously Paul, just as he does with his World War II stuff, he takes them, whether it's from a Pathé News or a film or a still. Obviously you can't do that in 1705, but you can see the faces are taken more or less out of some of the period watercolours. Second drummer. I'm just debating with him whether I turn his head round or not. So I think they're both exactly the same, these ones. So I might turn his head round just to make it different, I'm not sure yet. Sergeant, and he does have a halberd. Again, lovely, lovely figures. I wish I'd have got these a long time ago when they first brought them out. I was just a bit reticent with, I was painting ABs at the time, and I couldn't do both, and I didn't have any real, one of the few, although it's an enjoyable period for me, I didn't have a lot of actual uniform stuff. Yes, I've got books on the battles and campaigns and that, but I hadn't, which occasionally have side mentions to uniforms, but I hadn't got really any uniforms to go on. But highly recommended. I know I've not painted them yet, but there's not a ton of cleanup to be done on them. There is enough uniform guides out there. I mean, I would go to the Helium Press for your. It's more expensive unless you can get, like I said, I managed to get that second hand. I would have been stuttering a bit because I was trying to find the money to get it new. I'd have probably had to wait to sell something, but I managed to get that one second hand, which was good. But your Ospreys and that, they've got like one on, which I have got on Marlborough's Wars, but there's not a lot in them. You know, it's you really need to get something like this Army of the Sun King, and they, you know, broken down into 2 or 3 books. And I've only got the one at the moment, so I can see more expense, more pain down the road. But they've got some fantastic deals. I was just been looking at, I think they're doing an artillery battery at the moment for around 20 quid, 25 quid, something like that. Again, all metal. It's some very, very keen prices. Got some ensigns here. I do love all the big wigs in that. Really nice. I believe Empress has got a Kickstarter out for their World War II, for their second. I think they're Polish. They're doing Polish Paras. I don't do Kickstarters, I must admit, but I just wanted to give a shout out. If you fancy doing some World War II Paras and that, go check him out. Paul does all those sculpts, and Paul and a friend of his, and I'm sorry I can't remember the guy's name. They've also bringing out a fantasy range as well, I believe. You might want to check that out. Last couple now. I say there's going to be duplicates and that. I think this is one of my favourites. Just love the pose again. You only just have to angle an arm in the right place, put a nice deep cuff, and you got a nice wig, and you got a really classic figure. And most of these will often, you know, at a push you can put them in other units to mix and match, you know, especially officers, because they more or less did their own thing. So yeah, these are going to be, this is the other, got his moustache, show that he's a grenadier. These are the De La Reine Regiment. If I've pronouncing that wrong, I apologise to Phil and my one other French viewer out there. But I thought, rather than go, you know me, I always go with the Brits. I like to see the British Army through history. But I really fancy doing some French grey uniforms, and so these will be. I don't think I said, did I? Like an idiot. Yeah. So I'm going to paint these in like a warm grey, and they will have red cuffs. Believe off the top of my head, there's actually one for the De La Reine in the. I'd actually picked the regiments before I got the book, but this is going to be red down here in the waistcoat. What I was trying to say earlier. So red waistcoat, and some sources say red socks, and some say, you know, off-white or whatever. All the lawnmowers have started. So anyway, just wanted to show you that. Again, shout out to Mamara Scot, who originally showed these and rekindled my my love for the period and of these particular figures. As I say, they were brought out not years and years ago, but they were brought out a few years ago, and I really wish I'd have just taken the plunge then and got some. So I'll put these up for sale, I think, if only just to pay for another. So I try and talk over people. Pay for one of the regiments for myself. So thank you very much. Look after yourselves. People are now shouting over lawnmowers. So look after yourselves, and we'll catch each other soon on another video.